Exposed. 13 sinister and haunted hidden encounters discovered through the cursed Randonautica app. Mia's heart raced as the chilling anticipation of night crept in. There was something dark and sinister about the Randonautica app. Rumors buzzed in her struggling Detroit neighborhood like angry hornets. It was meant to guide users to locations sparked by their deepest intentions, but for Mia and her 15-year-old daughter, Zoe, it opened a door to chilling encounters that should have remained locked. Whispers filled the night, warning of disappeared children, strange figures lurking just beyond the streetlight's glow. Fear had settled like an uninvited guest in their lives. A part-time job wasn't enough to keep dread at bay, and the reality of local crime hung like a heavy shroud around them. After another long shift at the grocery store, Mia found the app flickering to life on her phone. Curiosity broke through years of monotonous worry, a flicker of excitement igniting, enticing her to explore the unknown. Zoe's eagerness matched her own. They needed this escape. An adventure awaited them, a chance to break free from the tight grip of their daily lives. They both knew of the abandoned school rumored to be haunted, local legend wrapped in layers of fear. It was a thrill they hadn't dared to seek before. As they sped through the streets, the thrill of the adventure overrode their fear. The streets narrowed, and shadows twisted into grotesque shapes taunting them. Finally, there it loomed ahead, defiant against the night sky, the decaying remains of the school. Cracked windows like empty eye sockets stared back, the chill in the air whispering secrets just out of reach. Dread brushed against Mia's spine, but they pushed on, adrenaline pumping. Inside, the atmosphere thickened. The walls groaned, creaking as if attempting to warn them. Zoe's phone lit up the graffiti-strewn hallways, eerie faces painted in panic and pain. At first, Mia laughed nervously, trying to shake off the unwelcome feeling tightening her stomach. But laughter soon turned to silence as whispers began to echo. The sinister sounds grew around them, laughter that twisted into something unholy, intermingling with the cries of children lost. Her heart thumped violently, a stark reminder that danger was close. Zoe's phone buzzed violently, ripping through the suffocating air. The notifications were cryptic and sinister, revealing chilling stories of families in their neighborhood, good faces turned monstrous, names that made Mia's blood run cold. She felt the primal urge to protect her daughter as panic unfurled in her chest. "Zoe, we should go." But before she could finish, a loud crash rang out, as if a locker had erupted violently. The whispers intensified. They became screams, drowning out reason and suffocating hope. Something was in these hallways, something dark and knowing. Mia took Zoe's hand, feeling the world compress around her, shadows flaring against the walls as if hunting them. The air turned electric as they pushed deeper, but every step felt like a transgression. As they reached a classroom where the walls seemed to close in, Zoe's phone buzzed ominously, "Stay or go." Seconds felt like hours, the weight of the question pressing down on them. Mia's instincts drove her to flee, yet the truth swirling around them pulled at Zoe in ways Mia couldn't understand. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue." With tension crackling in the air, Mia glanced at Zoe, the flicker of understanding between them almost palpable. What was hidden in the dark? Was it safety they sought, or simply the truth residing deep in the shadows? The app, the school. It felt like the start of something they never anticipated, something that could tear them apart. But what had they truly awakened? The answer loomed, pressing against the walls, digging into their resolve. Would they unravel the mystery or fall deeper into something they could not comprehend? The atmosphere twisted thicker around them, suffocating and brimming with suffocating dread. Shadows flickered like moths around a flame, their shapes shifting and warping with each heartbeat. Mia felt Zoe's grip tighten, her palm clammy and trembling. They stood at the threshold of the classroom, the choice hanging heavily in the air. Stay or go. The option was as fragile as the old glass in the windows, where the darkness outside waited, hungry and patient. "Zoe, we can't," Mia whispered, her voice barely a breath against the overwhelming noise of the school. The whispers morphed into guttural growls, anguish sounding from unseen corners. Whatever was awakened, it didn't want them to leave. But Zoe didn't move. Her gaze was locked on her phone, the sinister glow illuminating her face, casting eerie shadows that darted across the walls. "It's asking me to decide," she murmured, her voice choked with something that felt like excitement rather than fear. "Look, Mom, it says we have to trust it. Maybe it knows something we don't." Every instinct in Mia screamed danger. "We can't trust this. Whatever it is," she replied, panic seeping into her marrow. "We need to find an exit now." Zoe hesitated, her brow furrowed deep in thought. The phone buzzed again, and suddenly the whispers intensified into a cacophony of laughter mixed with cries. Mia's heart lurched, the sound clawing at her nerves. Shadows danced menacingly closer, appearing almost sentient, as if they were watching, waiting. "Stay!" Zoe cried, her voice cracking as she stepped into the classroom. "I feel like I need to know what's here." Before Mia could protest, Zoe was pulled into the darkness. With a sudden surge of courage, Mia followed, her heart pounding as adrenaline ignited her feet. They shouldn't be here. Not in this place, not when something felt so profoundly wrong. Each step into the classroom felt like a step into the abyss. Inside, the air was stale, filled with scents of mold and dust, layered with something metallic and sour. Faded desks sat like ancient relics, their surfaces marred with deep scratches, words carved by desperate hands. The walls felt alive, the whispers tightening into something almost physical, suffocating. Zoe looked down at her phone, her eyes glowing with a feral zeal. "It's leading us," she declared, her voice ringing too loudly in the silence. "We have to find the source, the truth." Mia's breath hitched, a chill creeping up her spine as a soft thud echoed behind them. Heart racing, she spun around. The door they had passed now stood ajar, creaking as if inviting something sinister into their midst. In an instant, Mia felt it, the unmistakable sensation of being watched. It was a primal awareness, raw and unfiltered. Someone or something was in the room with them. The air grew heavier, as if the shadows were alive, thick like fog wrapping around her throat, squeezing tight. Racing thoughts spiraled through her mind. Her daughter was slipping away from her, drawn into whatever darkness this cursed school held. "Mia, look!" Zoe pointed, her finger trembling the way her words did. Deep within the classroom, a bright shimmer pulsed at the far wall, flickering like a distant star, promising revelations and horrors in equal measure. The whispers surged forward like a tide, melding into a single phrase that sent chills down Mia's spine. "Join us!" Mia propelled herself forward, ready to pull Zoe back, when suddenly the classroom door slammed shut, sending shockwaves through her core. Silence filled the void, thick and suffocating, followed by a hum, a vibration that rattled her bones. "Mom!" Zoe screamed, reaching for her, terror flooding her eyes. Mia's mind raced. They could be trapped. Panic gripped her hard, but the pull of Zoe's determination rooted her in that moment with competing dread. She was losing her daughter to the very dark they had dared to uncover. Then Zoe stepped forward, drawn closer to the shimmering light, entranced. "I want to see. It wants me." "Zoe, don't!" Mia lunged forward as the room erupted into chaos, laughter spiraling into a frenzy. The light exploded, swallowing Zoe whole. The last thing Mia saw was a gaping void where her daughter had just stood, the shadows consuming everything. "Zoe!" she screamed, desperation reverberating off the walls. A twisted thought burrowed deep into her mind. Had they managed to unravel things best left hidden? What truth lay behind the veil, and at what cost? She had to save Zoe. The choice was already made. As the whispers sharpened into frantic screams around her, Mia faced the walls. They were closing in. Before she could scream again, the shimmering light blinked back, illuminating something dark and grotesque standing just beyond it. It beckoned her, and Mia felt the haunting question clawing at her sanity. Was she next? The classroom trembled, ready to reveal the darkness clawing at her sanity. What would she discover, and how far into the abyss was she willing to go to save her daughter? Terror coiled tightly around Mia's chest, squeezing as she stumbled back from the void where Zoe had vanished. The air crackled with a tension that sent electric shocks through her limbs. Heart pounding in her ears, she gritted her teeth, the taste of iron heavy on her tongue. Shadows clawed at the edges of her vision, darting in and out as if drawn to her fear. She could feel the grotesque figure watching her from the depths of the light. Was it a monster or something far worse, a memory from another time, from a darker corner of this cursed place? Mia clenched her fists, forcing herself to focus. She couldn't let panic swallow her whole. "Zoe!" she called again, her voice breaking. Silence enveloped her, an eerie calm juxtaposed against the chaos she had just witnessed. She took a trembling breath, every instinct screaming at her to flee. But she couldn't, not without her daughter. Mia stepped forward, her footfall echoing in the heavy air. Shadows shifted, swelling as if alive. The walls of the classroom bent inward, drawing their inky tendrils close, and for a fleeting second she thought she saw flashes of Zoe's face in them, anguished, pleading. A scream caught in Mia's throat. Had the light taken her? Was she lost forever in the darkness? A low growl rumbled through the room, resonating from the dark corners, mingling with the whispered promises that urged her to join them. The monstrous figure slowly stepped into view, wreathed in the flickering glow, a twisted, mock-worthy version of a once innocent child. Mia's heart raced as its eyes glinted with malevolent mirth. "It's your turn," it hissed, and the sound slithered through her mind, wrapping around her consciousness. "Come play. We've been waiting." "No!" Mia shouted, shaking her head, dispelling the nightmare coiling at her mind's edges. She darted back, her back pressing against a desk, the rough wood digging into her skin. "You're not real!" But the laughter that erupted filled the space like a thunderstorm, drowning out her denial. It was an orchestra of madness, rich and layered, pulling her deeper into despair. With every sound, the familiar feeling of dread surged again. It encased her, an icy grip that promised eternal entrapment if she stayed. "What's happening?" Mia whispered, far more to herself than to the darkness. She remembered Zoe's phone, the sinister voice that commanded them to trust it. Had it siphoned Zoe away? Had it tricked them both? With a newfound determination, Mia bolted toward the nearest wall. If she could just get to the door, find a way back. But as she sprinted, the floor shifted beneath her feet, warping and twisting, blurring her path. The shadows began to coalesce, forming into figures that bore semblances of lost faces, haunting echoes of students once lost, their voices a collective cry for rescue. She stumbled, hearing familiar names, students she had taught, friends she'd known, as if they were calling for her to stay. "Help us!" one phantom echoed in a raspy voice. "We're trapped here! You can't leave!" "No! I won't stay!" Mia's breath came in gasps as she fought against the swell of dark figures clawing for her. Then the shimmering light pulsed again, brighter this time, exploding like fireworks in the bleakness. It hurt her eyes. and all at once the laughter stopped. In the chaos of the blinding glow, she thought she saw Zoe, reaching out with desperate hands, her face a mask of confusion. "Mom, please!" Zoe cried, and in that moment, Mia felt a visceral tug at her heart. "Zoe!" As the brilliance tore through the shadows, Mia lunged, grabbing the closest desk and vaulting over, arms outstretched, desperate to reach her daughter before the light dimmed again. But before her fingers could connect, the darkness thickened, swallowing the light and her daughter's scream in one brutal inhale. Fighting against the chokehold of despair, Mia pressed forward. She had to know the truth behind the void, the shining allure of the light. The sounds came rushing back, a cacophony of cries and laughter twining around her. What truth lay hidden behind the malevolence? With a heart racing in defiance, she took another step into the shimmering portal as it flickered one last time, a choice hanging in the air. And then she plunged into the unknown, the shadows reaching out. What awaited her beyond the veil, and how far would she go for her daughter? Darkness engulfed Mia as she fell through the void, a chilling rush that felt eternal. The weight of fear pressed down like a physical force, suffocating her senses. She landed hard on a cold, unyielding floor that sent jolts of pain through her legs. As she pushed herself up, the shadows swirled around her, grand and chaotic. They seemed to pulse with a life of their own, heartbeats echoing in sync with her own frantic rhythm. The air was thick, smelling of damp earth and something metallic that stirred a primal fear within her. "Zoe," she whispered, half in prayer, half in a desperate search. The ground beneath her shifted again, remnants of its unstable nature pooling around her ankles. Mia squinted, trying to adjust to a pulse of dim light that pulsated like a heartbeat ahead. Each flicker illuminated the forms within the gloom. Figures of children standing still, their faces pale, expressions frozen in fear. She recognized them instantly, the faces of the lost, her former students. They stared with hollow eyes, mouths shaped into silent screams. "Help!" one of them mouthed, but no sound escaped. Their elongated fingers pointed toward the light. Mia felt a whisper brushing against her ear, thin and seductive. "Join us. Stay forever." It slithered through her mind, stirring her anxieties. "No, I won't!" she yelled again, forcing her feet to move. She broke free from their lingering gazes and stumbled toward the light, heart racing. Each step seemed to dredge up the whispers of her past, moments of regret, memories of what could have been. But the shadows stirred, the figures writhing, closing in. "You have to rescue us," they chorused, their voices melding into a single, haunting plea. "Leave me alone," Mia shouted, pushing past the visions of faces she once knew. They lunged, their hands brushing her arms like ice against flesh. She shivered, fighting against the growing terror. The flickering light pulled her onward, promising hope, a way to find Zoe. It grew brighter, illuminating more of the shadows denser around her. She raced toward it, but as she approached, the light dimmed, flickering ominously, revealing a darkened corridor wrought with decay and despair. "Mommy!" The call sent shocks through her bones. The timbre was unmistakable, filled with desperation. Zoe's voice pierced through the encroaching shadows that clawed at Mia. She halted, allowing the darkness to undulate around her. "Zoe, where are you?" Mia cried. Each heartbeat thrummed in tandem with fear, her spirit warring with doubt. Clever girl. So close. The sinister voice echoed once more, this time a seduction wrapped in malice. The spectral figure appeared before her, shifting grotesquely, elongating its fingers, a mimicry of a comforting embrace. "You can save her, but you must stay." A shiver traced down her spine, freezing her breath in her throat. "What do you want? What have you done to her?" The figure tilted its head, a grotesque smile widening, revealing teeth too sharp, too white. "You're all that's left, Mia. You hold the key. Forever." Mia recoiled as more children emerged from the pits of shadow encircling her. Their ethereal fingers brushed against her, pleading. "You can't leave us!" Mia's resolve began to falter. "No, I will find her. I won't give up." As she fought the tide of despair, she felt her strength dwindling, the allure of the light becoming dangerously intoxicating, connecting her to the memories of each child. But at that moment, she clutched her heart, whispering Zoe's name like a lifeline, pulling her back from the abyss. Just then, an anguished scream echoed through the corridor, slicing through the shadows. Mia's heart sank as she realized it was Zoe's voice, raw and terrified. "Help me!" The shadowy figures thrummed with life, moving toward the scream. Mia hesitated, torn between the call of the shadows and the frantic cries of her daughter. "Which way?" she gasped, panic rising in her chest, and then she knew. With a deep breath, Mia charged forward, battling through the shrouded forms as they surged around her. But the portal ahead was closing. Could she reach Zoe in time, or would they both be lost to the darkness forever? The moment Mia surged forward, dread clung to her like a second skin. The air thickened around her, each inhalation a struggle against the stench of decay and despair. Shadows lunged from every corner, their fingers grasping, trying to pull her back. "Stop!" she gasped, shaking off icy hands that dug into her flesh. "Mommy!" Zoe called again, her voice wrapping around Mia like a rope, both a lifeline and an anchor dragging her deeper into despair. Every scream from her daughter was a blade in Mia's chest, twisting, piercing, driving her onward through a minefield of memories and agony. Each step felt heavy, as if the ground was trying to consume her. But there, in the distance, a glimmer. It shone like a beacon amidst the swirling blackness, drawing her closer. Mia forced herself to focus, willing her legs to move faster despite the gnawing fear consuming her mind. Shadows retreated momentarily, reluctant to let go, but their hold was weakening. The children shouted, their voices intertwining, creating an eerie chorus. "Stay with us! Help us!" They moved with once familiar faces that morphed into grotesque reflections of sorrow and longing. Each child was a reminder of the choices she made, the moments left behind. Instead of slowing, they only pushed her forward, laced with desperate screams. Mia halted when she stumbled, her foot catching on a piece of debris. She fell, skinning her palms against the rough ground. Unrelenting sharpness bit into her, but she pushed up, fueled by a mother's instinct. "Zoe! I'm coming!" Abruptly, the light flickered, twisting in front of her, blotting out the shadows momentarily. For a heartbeat, it expanded, illuminating a doorway that appeared just a slit in the fabric of darkness. Zoe was beyond, a small figure moving in the light's embrace, clawing to get to her. "Mommy!" Zoe's face emerged from the gloom, eyes wide with fear and desperation. Mia lunged toward the light, but shadows converged, blocking her path. "No, move!" she screamed, balled fists slamming against nothingness. The shadows squeezed tighter, wrapping around her waist, pulling her back into their cold grasp. She kicked and flailed, but they only laughed, a deep rumbling echo that filled her with despair. "Help us!" they chanted, their voices mingling with Zoe's cries, twisting her resolve. "You must join us!" Mia felt the chill seep into her bones, the darkness whispering her secrets, sowing doubt. What if I fail her? The thought lanced through her mind, leaving an icy trace. What if she was not strong enough to fight them? What if reaching Zoe meant losing everything else? "No!" she shouted, shaking her head. "I will not abandon you!" Her voice echoed through the corridor, a shocking burst of defiance. With every ounce of strength she forged ahead, pushing through the hands grasping to pull her down, calling for Zoe. A surge of warmth flared in her chest, igniting her with newfound determination. Then she silhouetted Zoe, clear as day, terror etched across her daughter's face. "Mommy, please!" Just beyond the doorway, the space twisted and writhed, a whirlpool of darkness that threatened to suck them both into nothingness. Mia's heart raced wildly. "Zoe!" She was almost there, the gap narrowing. A sudden rush of energy surged through her, enough to shove past the cold hands, sinking into her skin. But the spectral figure re-emerged, its sharp-toothed grin widening, blocking her path once more. "You can't! You belong with us! Forever!" Mia's heart sank, fear suffocating her. The figure leaned closer, breath cold against her skin. She felt its influence wrapping tighter around her, drawing her near. "Choose your daughter or the children." As the shadows roared and Zoe's cries grew frantic, Mia stood at the precipice of an impossible choice. What if I choose wrong? Suddenly the realm shook violently. The ground quivered beneath her, the lights flickering dangerously. Just behind her, one child stepped forward, their face morphing to reveal a hint of recognition. "You can save us both." In that moment of immense uncertainty, Mia's vision blurred, and she knew somehow she had to act. But time was running out. Would she make the wrong choice and doom them all? Desperation gripped her heart as the rift closed tighter, threatening to swallow them all into eternal darkness. The rift pulsated, a heart beating in the dark. Mia could feel the edges of reality fraying, slipping through her fingers. Shadows writhed, driven by some insatiable hunger, tightening their grip. Zoe's voice, rising in panic, knifed through the chaos. "Mommy!" Mia's mind raced. She couldn't think, couldn't breathe. The weight of every loss hung heavy in the air, as if the universe itself conspired to smother her hope. The spectral figure loomed, its grin wide and hungry. "Choose!" it hissed, each word a dagger twisting in Mia's heart. "Choose!" echoed the shadows, their voices deep and mocking. "Which child will you save, your daughter or our lost spirits?" She couldn't bear it. "Let them go!" she shouted, her voice breaking against the rising tide of despair. The shadows shrieked in a cacophony of lost voices, amplifying her terror. Time blurred. Fleeting moments flashed in her mind. The laughter of Zoe's first birthday, her tiny hands covered in frosting, the times they cuddled on the couch, watching cartoons late into the night. Would she really sacrifice all that? The memories felt like tender wounds, pulsing with pain and love. Then one child's whisper broke through, old yet familiar. "You know me, Mia, I'm still here." Her heart stumbled. "No, it can't be." But the child stepped closer, emerging from the shadows. "You remember me. Save me. Save us both." It was a hauntingly bittersweet echo, a face she thought lost. Memories of laughter were ripped from the vault of her mind. A friend's child, a neighbor from years ago, one she couldn't save. Fear surged within her, twisting with guilt. What if her failure meant losing another child to this dark abyss? "Please!" Zoe's tiny hands pressed against the barrier, pleading. Mia felt her resolve flicker. With each breath, the rift narrowed, sparks of energy racing like fireflies around them. "You can save us. You can make it right," the child urged, voice blending with the soft cries of the other lost souls. Mia's heart thundered, every beat an echo of desperation. "No, not like this," she shouted, pleading not just for Zoe but for the multitude of voices that called from the darkness. Suddenly, a powerful shockwave erupted, displacing everything. The shadows screeched, recoiling as the light from the doorway brightened, more radiant than before. The spectral figure faltered, shadows tearing away from it, momentarily weakening its grip on her. "Now, go!" Zoe shouted through the fading darkness, her eyes shining with a mixture of fear and hope. "Mommy, please!" Mia lunged forward, her body driven by love and frantic determination. The light beckoned like warm arms waiting to envelop them both. But the spectral figure whipped its gaze towards her, a hunger igniting in its eyes. "You can't escape me!" it roared, a sound laced with the cries of countless children lost to the void. A sudden surge of dread filled Mia's chest, as if the shadows themselves were screaming for their prey. She pushed with every ounce of her being, racing towards the glimmering door. "Zoe, hold on!" But time was a thief, and the corridor distorted around her, warping into a hellscape. With each step closer, the darkness extended jagged claws, reaching for her, wanting to pull her back. "Mia!" Zoe cried, her small form shimmering in the bright light. "Don't let go, please!" With a final, desperate push, Mia broke into the brilliant glow, her body colliding into the warmth. But just as she grasped Zoe's hand, a cold grip latched onto her ankle, dragging her back. Darkness billowed around them, and the spectral figure roared triumphantly, gaining strength from her fear. Mia felt the struggle tug at her, caught between light and shadow. "I won't be lost again!" she screamed, the anguish ripping from her throat. But as she and Zoe fought against the pull, the shadows closed in, and Mia realized the price of their salvation was more than she could ever imagine. Just when Mia began to understand the weight of her choice, the world around them crumbled, and then everything went black. What had she truly awakened? What echoes of the past would haunt her? Blackness enveloped Mia like a thick fog, blanketing her senses. She couldn't move, couldn't think. All she could feel was the pull, an insistent weight dragging her down deeper into the void. Her heart raced, panic clawing at her throat. Where was Zoe? A muted whisper echoed in the darkness, a familiar melody she couldn't place, weaving through her thoughts. "Mommy!" The voice fluttered like a fragile moth, yet it struck a chord of recognition. Mia's breath quickened. "Zoe, is that you?" She reached out, but the nothingness swallowed her hand. "Mia!" The voice was closer now, insistent. "You have to wake up." Suddenly, shards of light burst through the thick shadows, illuminating a distorted world that flickered like an old film reel. Static crackled around her, setting her nerves on edge. Mia blinked, and the lights calibrated, revealing twisted trees contorted in impossible positions, gnarled fingers clawing at the sky. A chilling wind swept through, whispering secrets of despair and danger. "Mia!" Zoe's voice broke through the haze once more, fragmented and fear-laden. "Find me!" Mia forced herself to stand, her legs trembling beneath her. She squinted against the harsh light and called back, "Zoe! Where are you?" But her words fell flat, swallowed by an empty expanse. The ground beneath her pulsed, each tremor resonating with memories of laughter now tainted by sorrow. A distorted version of her home stood a few steps away, its windows shattered, a hollow shell of safety. Shadows poured from each crevice, pooling on the ground like spilled ink. The wind twisted their shapes, and Mia shuddered as she recalled the spectral figure's demand. Had she truly lost her chance to save Zoe? "Mia!" The cry rang again, echoing off unseen walls, wrapping her in urgency. With determination anchored in fear, she dashed toward the house, her heart pounding against her ribs. Each step felt like wading through molasses, time stretching thin. Shadows snaked around her legs, clawing for purchase, whispering secrets of despair and old regrets. "Join us," they hissed. "We'll keep you safe." "No!" she shouted, shaking her head furiously. "I will not be one of you." As she reached the door, it swung open with a groan, revealing a dark corridor coated in layers of dust. It smelled stale, as though hope had been long abandoned. The light flickered erratically overhead, casting elongated shadows as Mia pressed deeper into the ominous hall. "Mommy!" Zoe's voice was a bright spark in the darkness. Mia turned sharply, focusing on the sound. Every fiber of her being propelled her forward, but every step felt as though she was moving against an unseen force. "Zoe!" she called again, desperation swelling in her chest while her voice quivered. A door at the end of the hall stood slightly ajar, a sliver of light spilling out. Mia breathed in shakily, glancing back at the swirling shadows that writhed against the walls. This was no mere darkness. It was alive, breathing and waiting. "Please," she whispered to herself, "just one more moment." She pushed through the door, and the room erupted into chaos. In the center stood a swirling vortex, thrumming like a trapped animal. and within it Mia could see glimpses of lost souls, faces she recognized, faces of those she had failed to save. "Oh, God!" she gasped, lunging forward. "Zoe!" But instead of her daughter, the monstrous figure emerged from the vortex, eyes gleaming with twisted delight. "Welcome back, Mia," it crooned, stretching its fanged grin wide. "You're finally here to stay." Mia's heart raced. How much more would she endure? The shadows coiled tighter, feeding on her fear. Would she succumb to the same fate as others lost in the blackened trees outside? Time was running out. With the echoing voices urging her on, she prepared to fight against the weight of despair and darkness invading her soul. "I will save her," Mia declared defiantly, her voice rising over the storm. Just then, the winds howled louder, erasing her conviction. The shadows surged forward, and she felt a sudden darkness envelop her. What steps would Mia take to escape this maze of her own making? Would she uncover the truth buried in the heart of despair? Or was she destined to join the very soul she tried to save? Mia's vision blurred, the vortex spinning faster, pulling her in like a riptide. She staggered back, gasping as her surroundings twisted grotesquely. Every lost face in the vortex was a shard of her past, guilt carving deeper into her heart. "No! I won't be a part of this!" But the shadows didn't care for her defiance. They crept closer, coiling around her like serpents, inviting her to sink into their dark embrace. "Stay with us, Mia," they whispered, their voices sticky with malice. "You can't save her." The monstrous figure stepped closer, its grinning mouth widening impossibly. "You're not strong enough," it taunted, every word curling around her like smoke. "Your daughter is lost. Just give in." Mia's breath caught. A flicker of doubt sloshed through her resolve, but she gritted her teeth, fire igniting in her chest. "No! Zoe is alive! I will find her!" Suddenly, the ground beneath her bucked and trembled, the very fabric of that twisted world threatening to rip apart. She stumbled as the eerie laughter of the figure echoed in the chaos, teasing her sanity. "Come, Mia, embrace the despair. It's the only thing waiting for you." She clenched her fists, desperation pulsating through her veins. If she couldn't fight the shadows, perhaps she could use them. Memories flooded her mind. She recalled the tales of how to wield darkness, stories whispered by friends long since gone. She began to remember small things, mirrors that could reflect more than just faces, words of power hidden in hushed corners of her mind. Adrenaline surged, slicing through her panic. "You want me to join you?" Mia shouted defiantly at the swirling shadows. "Then show me Zoe. I'll find her whether you like it or not." The shadows hesitated, flickering like a flame in the wind. A moment of possibility, but the figure erupted with furious laughter, shaking the room. "You think spectres yield to the light of hope? You're a fool." Mia closed her eyes, reaching deep inside her memories for any forgotten wisdom. A chant surfaced, words she barely understood but felt in her core. "By the power of the lost, I summon the truth." She let the words pour from her lips, shakily at first, but gaining strength. "Show me the way, guide my heart." The shadows screeched, recoiling from her assertion. The vortex pulsed violently, fluttering like a wounded beast. With each syllable the lights flickered, illuminating tendrils of black and red sweeping away from her, revealing the path dwelling within the chaos. For a moment, Mia thought the darkness might release its hold. Hope seeped through the cracks in her fear. "Zoe, where are you?" she whispered, straining to capture the tiniest threads of her daughter's presence amidst the horror. Suddenly, the vortex trembled and spat out a vision, shimmering like heat waves. Mia gasped. There was Zoe, her little face twisted in fear, held captive in a space that felt old and filled with sorrow. "Mommy!" she cried, reaching through the shimmering veil that separated them. Mia lunged forward. "I'm coming! Hold on, Zoe!" But the moment her feet struck the ground, the shadows shrieked in fury, surging back, crushing down on her like a wave threatening to drown. "Stay!" the monstrous figure roared, the room shaking in response. "No!" Mia screamed, feeling a force pushing against her chest. It felt like an anchor, dragging her back toward the darkness. "I will not give up!" The shadows locked around her, tightening with oppressive weight. She could almost feel their icy fingers against her skin, clawing for her sanity as her vision blurred. Willing her voice to push through, she cried out, "I'll find you! We will escape together!" Suddenly the shadows convulsed violently. A blinding light burst forth, shattering the darkness, and Mia felt everything unraveling, as if reality itself was unraveling into chaos. She was flung sideways, her body spinning away from the dark vortex. Then silence fell, a stillness that felt both sacred and suffocating, as if all time held its breath. Was she free, or just trapped in another layer of torment? Mia looked around, her heart racing, searching for any sign, any echo of Zoe. But the void only answered with silence. What had happened to Zoe? Was she still in danger, held captive in this realm of shadows? And had Mia truly escaped, or had she only deluded herself into thinking she could overcome the darkness? The air crackled with tension, and she sensed she was running out of time. Shadows still loomed in the distance, relentless in their hunt. Would Mia find the courage to face her deepest fears, or would the darkness claim her and her daughter forever? Mia's heart drummed in her chest, each beat echoing the disquieting silence around her. The air felt thick, as if the very molecules were greased with an unseen menace. Her breath came in shallow gasps, panic clawing at her throat. Where was Zoe? She needed to find her, but this stillness felt like a trap laid just for her, waiting, biding its time. As she scanned the void, something shifted at the edges of her vision. A flicker, a shadow darting just out of reach. She jumped, instinctively moving toward it, desperation fueling her steps. "Zoe!" she called, though her voice wavered, lost amidst the oppressive weight of gloom. A whisper floated through the stillness, soft and menacing. "You must pay the price, Mia." The voice dripped with dark allure, wrapping around her like a fog. "Your daughter's life for your freedom." "No!" she shouted at the darkness, fists clenched. "I will not trade anything for her." Yet as she spoke those words, she felt an icy grip on her heart, an insidious reminder of the price she may already be paying. Behind her, a low growl rumbled, echoing off unseen walls, spreading like smoke. Mia's skin prickled as shadows meshed together, forming a hazy image, a warped glimpse of Zoe, still engulfed in fear. "Mommy, help!" The cry brightened for just a moment, illuminating Mia's heart with a flicker of hope. Then it faded, replaced by silence. "No," Mia whispered, choking on her desperation. "Don't take her from me." With renewed determination, she pressed deeper into the void. The shadows clung to her, heavy and cold, but she shoved them aside with every ounce of her willpower. If she had learned one thing in the throes of terror, it was that defiance acted like a shield. In the depths of the dark, whispered secrets rose, asking her to succumb to the despair, to embrace the shadows as friends instead of foes. "Save yourself, Mia. Save yourself." They beckoned, drawing on her every fear. "Shut up!" she screamed, the words tearing from her throat. As she fought through the weight pressing against her thoughts, something shattered within the stillness. A mirror of smoke, jagged and cracked, formed before her. It pulsed like a living thing, drawing her closer. "Look," it beckoned, its voice seductive yet chilling. Mia hesitated. She was terrified of what may lie within, but she couldn't ignore the desperate need to find Zoe. Summoning all the courage she could muster, she stepped closer. As she peered into the depths, images rumbled to life, the past colliding with the present. Flashes of laughter, glimpses of her daughter playing under a sunlit sky, innocence wrapped in happiness. Then those images morphed, twisting violently, replaced by screams and cries, shadows grabbing cold hands around her child. "Zoe!" she gasped, reaching for the mirror, for the chance to pull her daughter back into the light. But the mirror pulsed with low laughter, the darkness soaking into her very soul. "Heed our warning, Mia, or we will take all that you cherish." "No!" she roared. But doubt wormed its way into her heart, fogging her mind, her instincts screaming against the vortex threatening to consume her. Suddenly the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, each fragment gleaming with reflections of twisted faces, lost souls trapped in despair. The monster surged closer, its grin widening and filling the void with hunger. "You want to save her? You'll have to embrace the darkness." Mia staggered back, breath hitching as an overwhelming sense of dread washed over her. "Find her." A deep voice echoed from the shadows. "But what happens when you do? Can you handle the truth?" The question slithered through her mind like a serpent, coiling tighter. She felt the abyss beckoning, an invitation wrapped in her worst fears. Could she unearth the truth if it meant losing herself in the darkness? And as the weight of those shadows pressed closer around her, the air thickened with malicious anticipation. The moment of truth was near. But what if confronting that truth meant tearing apart more than her own soul? With the feeling of a heavy fog closing in, Mia whispered through clenched teeth, "I will find Zoe." But just as those words left her lips, the darkness throbbed in response, the laughter rising, echoing like a deranged symphony. "And you may not like what you discover." Mia steeled herself for what was to come, her heartbeat loud in her ears, reminding her of the urgency pressing down around her. Time was slipping away. As the shadows lengthened, a new thought clawed at her. What will happen when she faces the darkness within herself? The answer hung in the shadows, inviting yet perilous, like a veil waiting to be lifted. Mia's world vibrated with a low, ominous hum. Shadows closing in like a vice. Her breath came in frantic bursts. Every heartbeat echoed with the anguish of fear and the desperate need to find Zoe. "I can't lose you," she whispered, eyes scanning the suffocating darkness. The ghastly figure loomed ever closer, a grotesque smirk stretching across its twisted features. "You should have thought about that before you chose," it crooned softly, the voice dripping with malevolence, twisting her last ounce of courage. "No!" Mia roared, fueled by a mother's determination. Shadows loomed like phantoms, threatening to drown her hopes in their depths. She could feel Zoe, some ethereal tether linking them even through the chaos. A spark ignited in her chest, a rage against the hopelessness threatening to consume her. As shadows flicked around her, Mia sprinted toward the flickering pulse of light dancing on the periphery. "Zoe, hold on!" Her voice pierced through the dark, drowning the echoes of despair that sought to dampen her will. The darkness screamed back, urging her to surrender, but she fought against it, pushing through the clamoring shadows. Mia's footfalls felt heavy and unsteady. The shadows wailed, pulling, tugging at her, whispering temptations of surrender. "Let go! Be one with us!" they hissed in a choir of lost children, drawing on her deepest fears and regrets. "No, I will not give in. I will find her." Steeling herself, Mia pushed through the swirling mass, her mind racing. She remembered the laughter shared, the gleaming hope in Zoe's eyes when she made pancakes on Saturday mornings. That warmth fed her as she fought against the crushing despair. "Zoe!" she called again, clinging to the memories like a lifeline, each fond remembrance pushing her forward. "I'm coming!" The light pulsed again, and for a moment the shadows twisted and shrank back. In that fleeting moment, Mia glimpsed Zoe, trapped within a void, her expression shadowed by terror, but her spirit shining bright. "Mommy!" Zoe cried out, reaching for Mia desperately, and the sight sent a jolt of adrenaline through her. "Zoe!" Mia surged forward, barreling toward the glimmering light that pulsed like a heartbeat, vibrant and alive amidst the darkness. But the monstrous figure howled, shadowy limbs reaching for Mia, trying to pull her back into despair. Just as she neared, the doorway flickered ominously, threatening to close. "Don't you dare!" Mia shouted, digging deep for strength she didn't know she had. She could not let this be the end, for either of them. "Let her go! You can have me, but not her!" Mia screamed defiantly. The shadows recoiled slightly, hesitating. "I won't let you take her!" And suddenly, the void wailed, the flickering moment of light expanding like the dawn. It washed over her, swirling with possibilities. Fueled by the desperate hope of Zoe's presence, Mia pushed forth, spotting the warmth of her daughter's love flickering in the light. "Zoe!" With one last surge, she leapt, arms outstretched, through the darkness, through the shadows, ready to break the seal of despair. Gravity pulled, twisting reality. Everything swirled, and for a horrifying moment she feared she'd lost her grip. Then light burst forth, illuminating the chaos, the shadows dissolving, leaving only whispers of what had existed before. As the brightness enveloped her, Mia clawed forth, desperately overcoming the momentum pressing against her. "Mommy!" Zoe's voice rang bright, echoing through the light, sharper, clearer now, full of love and hope. Mia broke through. She collapsed, breathless, her arms wrapping around Zoe, pulling her into a fierce embrace. Relief washed over her like a cleansing flood. "I found you! I'm here!" But behind them, the shadow roared, desperate and furious, its twisted form lingering at the edge of the light, unable to cross the threshold. "You think this is over?" It screeched, anger and sorrow braided into its voice. "You cannot escape me forever." But Mia didn't turn. She held Zoe tightly, feeling the warmth and life radiate from her daughter. "We won't let you take us again," she whispered fiercely, brushing a strand of hair from Zoe's face. The light brightened, blinding and soothing, wrapping around them like a cocoon. The figure dissolved into a howl of anguish, persisting in the distance, but powerless now. With a final shimmer, the world twisted. Mia felt the fabric of reality solidify around them. Suddenly, she gasped, realizing they had returned to the forgotten school. The air was still, the shadows now mere memories. "Mum?" Zoe stared up, eyes wide with fear and wonder. Are we safe?" Mia nodded, pulling Zoe in close, fighting the layer of despair beneath her skin. "Yes, baby, we're safe. We made it." They turned slowly away from the darkness that had threatened to engulf them, the echoes of their harrowing journey fading behind them. As they stepped outside, the moon hung high, silver and bright amidst a sea of stars. With a sigh of relief, Mia took a moment to breathe in the clean night air. She felt the weight of what they had faced, yet also the indomitable spirit of her love for Zoe, wrapping around them like an invisible shield. "We'll never look back," she whispered, and as their footsteps echoed away from the school, she knew they would forge ahead, stepping into the light, a promise to always fight for each other. Thank you for joining this wild ride. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.